Hello, welcome to Friday Sews. My name's Carol and this is my channel, Sew Carole. Hashtag Friday Sews was created by the lovely Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room. It's Friday, so let's go and check out what all the other YouTube creators under hashtag Friday Sews have been up to. Now, before I go any further, I just have to say I hope you all watched the Space Collab videos we put out on Tuesday evening, well, Tuesday evening UK, Tuesday afternoon America. It was amazing fun. So I will put the link below to everyone's channels, but there are 5 of us and we all went out and bought some space fabric and just made something from that fabric, but we didn't tell each other what the fabric looked like or what we were making, so it was such good fun. So I hope you check those out. I'll just say quickly that, because I'm sure most of you have watched mine, but I used the New Look 6547 to make a pair of, well, exercise wear, some trousers and a top with matching trim. So that's what I made, but if you haven't had a look, go and have a look. It's great. Now, I'm sure you all want to know how I got on with the snake costume. So I'm not going to keep you waiting any longer. I filmed this when I finished the snake earlier in the week, so I'll put the film in here. I will just explain before, the snake costume was for World Book Day. My grandson had to go to school dressed as a word. Instead of a book character this year, they did a word so they could do a vocabulary parade. So he chose the word snake, so that is why I had to make a snake-ish type costume. I thought I'd explain a bit how I actually put this snake costume together in case anyone ever had to do anything similar. So I thought I'd explain it in more detail. First of all, I made the trousers up and I just made them straight up. I used the same pattern I'd used before. I knew we'd have to make them up completely because there's no way that you could have sewn the snake on if you just had the flat pieces of the trousers. So it had to be made up first of all. I then made the top of the hoodie. I cut it out and then I cut out all those leaves shapes, hadn't I? Now that I did sew on the sleeves separately first before I put the sleeves together. I just put one line of stitching down so they had a bit of sort of 3D effect. You never know, if it was a windy day they might blow a bit and look even more realistic. So I put them on both sleeves. And then on the hood, I did the same thing. I put some leaves on the hood. Very simplistic, didn't want to go too fancy. I then had to make the snake. Now it was quite easy because I just cut some straight, I think it was about 3-inch wide, long strips of the marvellous snake fabric. And I sewed them together like you would do a belt. This is where I got tricky. I thought, right, I've now got to stuff this snake, and each piece was about sort of 48 inches long. Brilliant. I didn't think of that, did I? So obviously I put some little bit of stuffing in at a time and tried to work it down with a knitting needle, with other tools I have. That was not successful. So I thought I had to get my thinking hat on, and this is what I came up with. Now, I appreciate that there probably is a proper tool out there that I could have bought to do this, and I'm sure if you're a bag maker or you're a soft tool maker, you're going to laugh your socks off when you see this. But what I thought was I got a knitting needle, and on the end of the knitting needle, I attached, first of all, I put some stuffing into this bit of fabric, and I attached it onto the head of the knitting needle. I wound around elastic band and then I taped the fabric bit there to the knitting needle, and it doesn't come off. And I have to say, this was probably one of the best things I've ever made, because bit by bit I would put the stuffing in and I will push it down, and that was the width of what the actual snake inside. And it just pushed it down to the bottom very gently, very slowly. Amazing. This is going to stay with me forever, this thing. I'm not going to make it any better because, yeah, it's so rough at the edges, isn't it? But it was absolutely perfect. like a little drumstick. So I then made the 2 pieces of snake, and I had to make them in 2 pieces because of the sweatshirt and the trousers. Obviously he's going to need to pull the trousers up and down, so that it had to be 2 bits of snake. So what I did, it looks a bit scrumpled at the moment. It looks better when it's on him. I slightly padded the snake on the leg. I was careful to make it thinner at the edges, and it's much, much thinner on the seat. There's only a slight bit of padding there because it's going to be awkward for him to sit in all day. So I just kept it simplistic. That's the tail going around the leg and up the back. And the back then disappears into the waistline. I then started at the back, so they more or less meet with the trousers. It then goes round by the word. Oh, going back to the word, I'll come back to that in a minute. And then obviously the snake, fully nice and fat, comes over the shoulder and sits there. Now for the eyes of the snake, I got these googly eyes. Now I was very worried. I did stick them on. I tried to do felt eyes, but it just didn't look right. So I got these googly eyes, which I had anyway, but I was very worried about the glue coming off or them pulled off. So what I've done, you can see it slightly, but I've got some invisible thread and I've sewn just over the top of the eyes just to keep it secure, crisscross, and you only notice it if you're nearby. And then obviously when I sewed the snake, I sewed in the fork tongue. The snake was just felt letters sewn on another bit of felt, and I sewed that on with zigzag stitch before I put the hoodie together. So he then ends up with this lovely little friend popping over his shoulder, and he's got a bit of a rattle, which is fantastic because then you could say he was a rattlesnake. That's his eyes. He tried it on. I put a picture on. He tried it on. It was actually before I'd finished doing the cuffs. But as you can see, he's really happy with it. Now, when you're seeing this, it will be Friday, and hopefully he'll be wearing it and hopefully he'll be pleased with it and it stays together. I had to hand stitch the snake on. It's not done perfectly. It's overstitched. I didn't want to stitch it completely flat. I wanted it to look more realistic. So hence it's kind of sticking out. You can see it sticks out a bit. So that was the snake World Book Day, which was actually the vocabulary parade. I said it right this time. Word snake. What I don't think I said in the video actually was what pattern I used if you'd missed it. It was Simplicity 8526. I've used this a lot of times to make hoodies and joggers for various reasons for the boys. Now, I have 2 grandsons, and I did feel a little bit guilty that I'd spent all this time and effort. Just like, do you remember Halloween when I felt guilty? I then made up something else. Well, I had a small bit of the beigey fabric, the brown tree fabric left over, and I'd luckily had a little bit of green. So I made the little one a little hoodie. So luckily, I mean, the colours go really well together. And if you're wondering what that is in the pocket, well, to keep the same type of theme, I made him a little snake that pops out. Is he cute? So he can have his little snake hiding away in his pocket. I put it on a string so he doesn't lose it. So I thought, and I haven't given it to him yet, but I'm really hoping that he will like this as well. Of course, we're all talking about the expo in Lakeland, and I'm very excited to go because it'll be my first kind of American sewing exhibition thing. I'm not into quilting very much, but I gather there's loads of other stalls, and I really hope to see some of you at 12 o'clock in our meetup in the foyer or lobby area. There are going to be lots of us there, so I'm really looking forward to that. And also, I've done something very un-British. I've invited myself to see Pinky's farm. yes, I contacted Trish and I said, look, we're very close to where you live, so please can we come and see the famous Pinky's farm? I want to see the goats, the donkeys, the chickens. So if you don't watch Trish and Pinky's farm, please go and watch her. She's got the most amazing channel and she's just full of fun. So my husband and I will be visiting there for maybe afternoon tea. Who knows? I'm a little bit nervous of meeting the animals, I must admit, but my husband's used to them, so let's give it a go. But that's going to be so much fun. So we're doing that on the Sunday. Now, the other things I made this week, I actually made a bag. Now, I made that beautiful dress last week with the embroidered fabric, didn't I, from New Look 6095, which I was really, really happy with the dress. And I had a bit of that embroidered fabric left over. So I thought, I'm going to give the bag a try. A couple of you have said it's a really good bag to make up. So I had a go. And this is what I've come up with. Now, I only had some small panels left of the embroidered fabric. So I inserted them in between the two bits of webbing. So, and then this was the other fabric left over. I had to really piece things together because I had to join on the bottom, but I'm very pleased with it. I got this contrast, and I know it's very contrasting, but I got this contrasting pink webbing. I had to shorten the straps a little bit because it said to leave sort of 30 inches there. Well, for me carrying it, if I was carrying it, you know, with my arm down, it would be dragging on the floor because I'm that short. So I shortened it to 25 inches around there, and I could probably do it again. But no, it's just a nice height on the shoulder, and I can have my hand underneath. I lined it with some fabric that I've been dying to use. I bought this from Joann's a couple of years ago. It was it's just some quilting cotton, and you have to put cardboard in the bottom of the bag. So I covered the cardboard. It was a kind of a card that I got from Hobbycraft. I'll go back to that story in a few minutes. But it's nice and solid and it fits beautifully in the bottom. If I made this again, I would make a foam pocket on there. Because I didn't really know the pattern or what I was up to, didn't put a pocket in, but I would definitely do that next time. And I'm very happy with it. A kind of a tote bag. It's quite floppy, but kind of a tote bag, maybe a beach bag. And of course, if I wore it with the dress, it would match the dress. So quite happy with that. I also made this week one t-shirt. I cut out 2 t-shirts, but I only had time to do one. And that was using the New Look 6458. Now this is the one I did the FBA on, the full bust adjustment on, and really worked for the fabric I did it in. Now I used this pink jersey, and I have to say, because it's a more structured jersey, it's actually, it is still a bit tight on me. It's nowhere near as tight as it would be if I hadn't have done the adjustment. I mean, it's a nice fit. I mean, it's a t-shirt, isn't it? So it's meant to be close fitting. So I managed to get that one done. I forgot when I was cutting out the sleeves. When I used to make this, I used to make the sleeves slightly longer because this is the other one that I should have made this week, which I didn't have time to. If you can see, it's really short. By the time you've got the hem and where it joins at the top, it's only got about 1.5 centimetres. That will be the width. So it is really short. And I remember I used to lengthen it. So when I tried this one, it felt a bit short. So what I've done is put similar to a neckband, I put the same width, and I've just put a band along the bottom. You can't see it at all, but actually it does make quite a nice finish to it. So that's what I did, just to lengthen those sleeves just a tiny bit, and I will do the same again on that one. So I had to go into Hobbycraft, which is a crafting store, sells fabric. If you're living in America, it's a very small relation to Hobby Lobby. Nowhere near as great, but every now and again it has some good fabrics. and I came across this one. This is a viscose chalet, and is that not screaming spring at you? Look at those beautiful colours with a lovely fresh green. So I picked up, I nearly bought just over a metre, but I thought, no, I'm living and learn. I'm buying more this year, aren't I? So I have more left over. So I bought 2 metres of that. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet. Maybe just like a spring blouse, but I'll certainly do, I'll hold off doing something with that till I get back. But it's all washed, ready to go. I also saw some fat quarters or fat squares, thinking ahead to the baby girl maybe. We've got 101 Dalmatians, some lovely muted colours. So we're talking about maybe a green in the nursery. So I thought that would be really cute. Still on the Disney theme, got the Aristocats. Bit harsher colours on that one, but definitely be useful. And then for me, I spotted some Jules fabric, and that's a designer in our country that does clothing, but it had some beautiful flowers and the stripes. The stripes is what they're famous for, and just a few more little fat squares. Didn't really need them, but can't resist. So when I was in Hobbycraft, I wanted to buy that card for the bottom of the bag. So I don't know what it's called. It was called grey board. I think it's probably to do with painting or something, but it was a big sheet of this grey board. And I went up to the till with it. I paid for it. I put it down just to fill my bag with other stuff. And of course I walked out the shop without it. So I didn't realise till I got home. It's about half an hour's drive away. I was a little bit annoyed and I was just going to leave it because it was only about £3. Anyway, a couple of days later, I thought, no, I'm going to go and buy that grey board because I want to finish that bag off. And although it says use cardboard, the only cardboard we've got is Amazon cardboard boxes, and they're just so floppy, aren't they? So I went back and picked up that grey board. So that's how I finished the bag. Now for the dress I made, I was thinking ahead to when I go to America, I always find it really chilly because we're not used to aircon. So I was thinking I want something just a lighter layer to wear over the top. In my head, I was going to make this. I've made this before in like that white crochet lace last year. So I was thinking something kind of pink and knitted. Now I went on to Minerva. I never have luck with Minerva. I don't know why. I know everybody loves Minerva, but whatever I order from there never comes anything like I imagined. So what I got was this, and it's a nice knitted fabric. It's like a cotton knit, but it's very structured. It's not floppy at all. So what shall I do with it, I thought? Because I had such good luck with this pattern and the grey cardigan I made a couple of weeks ago, Simplicity 9272, I thought I'll make another cardigan. So I've cut it out, as you can see. I think that'll be quite nice. It's not quite what I envisioned, but I will definitely get some use out of it. So it's all cut, ready to make up next week, hopefully, and I've got some buttons to go with it. So hopefully I shall be doing that. Now we leave for Florida at the end of next week. And guess what? It's going to snow. Well, they forecast snow for the UK next week. It's March, for goodness sake. When we wanted snow was back in January and February, or even Christmas time, but no, March. So as we are driving to the airport next week, the snow is forecasted, and for the morning we wake up to fly out of the UK, snow is forecasted. Now, in other countries around the world, airports survive with snow, but this is England, so I am hoping that snow is not going to stop me from coming to Florida to get a bit of warmth. It's been so bitterly cold here for a few weeks now, and I've been so looking forward to the warm. So keep your fingers crossed for me. Mind you, it's a week away. Anything could happen in the weather forecast, couldn't it? On that cold theme, this weekend we're actually going to test out our caravan. Now we've got a touring caravan that we keep in a storage barn, and then this time of year we normally take it out, just go away for one night and test everything's working again before we start using it in the summer. So we'd planned to do that just on Saturday night. We're only going about 10 miles down the road, but it's going to be really cold. So you don't have to go far when you're camping or you've got a caravan. It's just being away, and just the pace of life just slows straight away. So I'm looking forward just a night away, but we're going to have to take a lot of snuggly blankets, I think. Last Saturday, my husband had a gig and he tested out his shirt I made him, the AC/DC shirt. So the photos I'll leave you with at the end are some photos from that night. Also, of course, he's the drummer and my daughter is the singer. So I will leave you with those photos of the shirt in action. I won't put any sound up that of any of their music because I might get in trouble with YouTube. If you are interested in what they sound like, then I will. He's just started a YouTube channel for the his band, so I'll put the link down below. He's got 8 subscribers so far, so I'll put the link in down below. And if you want to hear my beautiful daughter's voice, if you go to about 1 minute 55, she's singing just a song with a piano, and she's a really good singer. So I'm mummy moment, mummy proud. Right, so I've got to get cracking and finish the cardigan and start thinking about what I'm going to take with me for Florida, hoping it's going to be warm. I will come to you next week. I'll film it a little bit early because we actually fly out on the Friday, so I will make sure I do a Friday sews for you. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget to check out the Space Collab that we did this week, and I will see you all very shortly. Bye.